And it looks like we are live. Guys, give me a second here because I'm going to add in our Facebook groups as we have to do here to get our wonderful Mile High Huddle podcast community all rounded up. And we've got green check marks. We are good to go.
Awesome. Thank you, Lance. Welcome in, everybody. It's another episode of the Dove Valley Deep Divers. I'm your host, Kenneth Booker. And with me today is the one, the only Lance Sanderson. What's going on, Lance? How you doing today, brother?
KB, dude, it's so good to talk to you. It's been since we, at least we're at the meet and greet, and even a couple years since we really got to sit down and chop it up and have some fun here. First time for me on DVDD with you, and I appreciate you for filling in and taking over my role here as the full-time host on Dove Valley Deep Divers. You know, it pains me to not be able to do this all the time, but to be able to sit here and have some fun and to talk Denver Broncos football with you, dude, I'm excited to be here. So thanks for having me, man.
Oh, no, you're always welcome, brother. I always loved you guys' show. You and Eric on Fridays is the best way to start a weekend. But how's everybody else doing on here? We got what's it, Daniel Berry Sports Highlight? Huh. Have you seen him before? I haven't seen that one before.
Oh yeah, Daniel Berry's a big time supporter. He's been on every show for a long time now. What's up, Daniel?
Up? You got Mike S coming in here with his Alabama logo. What's up, Lance, Kenneth, Dylan, Scott, and Broncos country? We got half of us so far. I'm sure Dylan and Scott are doing something Bronco related right now. But yeah, welcome in. I hope you're having a great weekend. Let's see who else we got. You got C. Chang coming in here, already giving us some good little vibes, ready to go 6-3. All right. Well, today our episode's pretty much revolving around the Broncos trying to prove that they're a legitimate contender this year for the playoffs. We got a bunch of key matchups coming on there. The first one is going to be that I wanted to bring up was Bo Nix versus this Ravens defense. Bo Nix last week had his best week of his career. He spread the ball around. 11 different receivers caught the ball. 3 different touchdowns from unlikely sources, and Troutman, McLaughlin, and Nate Atkins. Is there a way we can replicate this, Lance? And how do we keep this going? And how do we not just make this a one game out of nowhere kind of situation?
Well, I think that the big thing here is just understanding the evolution of what Sean Payton is doing with this offense right now and trusting what he's seeing with Bo Nix and the development of the obviously first-round rookie quarterback. I mean, he's making it a lot easier for him to get side adjustments down, and Bo's becoming a lot more comfortable with how the play calling and the play sequencing has been over the last 4 weeks. It's not just been a couple weeks just flash random games. This last week against the Panthers was obviously his best game, but you go back to the game against the New Orleans Saints, the Tampa Bay game was really good. The Raiders game, while there were some hiccups early in that game, obviously the early interception put the Raiders against the Chargers was a big problem there. But you're seeing the evolution and the trust with not only what Bo is able to handle in the passing game, but accentuating Bo's legs in the running game, the quarterback designs. I think that against this Ravens team who flocks really well defensively against the run, you can really build off of what you've done in the last 4 weeks to help this team move forward and just build this offense even more, because the Ravens passing defense is not good, dude. I was watching the game against the Browns earlier, and they have issues, especially over the middle of the field.
Yeah, that was rough to watch out of a guy I'm a real big fan of, and Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah.
And that ball went through his hands, and it seems like his team act like they've never dropped an interception before. I understand that was a game changer. I've seen that happen plenty of times, though, where it's like they would have got the interception, they could have changed it around, they dropped it. The game pretty much went how you thought it was going to go. But, yeah, let's see if we can exploit that secondary, because was it Cortland Sutton? Was the last game? He had a bounce back with 100 yards, correct?
Yes, he did. 8 catches for 100 yards on the nose until the fumble. If he wouldn't have fumbled the football, then that would have he would have been probably over 100 yards. Well, actually, would have been over 100 yards, and maybe would have scored a touchdown there. But yeah, like this could be a big game for this Broncos passing offense. And I see a lot of schemes of what the Broncos have done well in the last few weeks that work really well against this Ravens secondary, especially in the Browns game. I was watching that before we went live. Everybody knows that Bo does a really good job moving to his left, with moving his eyes to his left and finding the backside dig route. That second window on the dig route where he's hit Cortland Sutton, Devon Bailey a couple of different times, hit Troy Franklin on one, even some crossing routes where they get to the second and then the third window throwing to the right hand side for Bo Nix. Like those windows are open against this Ravens defense. I really like this matchup right now, the way it's playing out.
Yeah, it would be awesome to see him get going early, getting a nice little rhythm. We have some issues kind of along the offensive line. So we're going to see how they're going to hold up against it and see if we can get Bo Nix that time that he needs to find those open guys. Another thing I had talked about was the Ravens coming off that embarrassing loss to Cleveland. They're playing at home. They're going to look to essentially come out fast and punch the Broncos in the mouth. And we want to see if the Broncos defense can hold up. And if for some reason they kind of can't for a little bit, maybe they start off slow, if this Broncos offense is good enough to hang in that game and make it at least close towards the fourth quarter to where they can take over and win the game. Do you think this offense is good enough to fall behind by more than 10 points and come back and win?
Man, that's really hard, especially with how aggressive the Ravens are coming from the edges with their safeties, and specifically in Kyle Hamilton. They do such a really good job of pressuring the quarterback and disguising where they're going to be. There was a couple of plays against the Browns, and I'm going to reference the game against the Browns because I've watched it twice. I've got a handful of looks at some other games for this Ravens defense, but for the most part, what I saw against the Browns, I think the Broncos can really replicate. But some of the issues that the Broncos have in pass protection, with Bo holding onto the football a little bit, being confused by disguise in the secondary, this Ravens defense can do some things to this Broncos offensive line, especially again with Kyle Hamilton. Patrick Queen's doing some nifty things. They bring a nickel corner. I forget his number. I think it's number 23. They bring a nickel corner on some blitzes and can be creative in their pressure packages. But I think that if the Broncos offensive line, with the way that they've been playing over the last handful of weeks, they're one of the better offensive lines in terms of pass block win rate. They're not allowing a lot of sacks. Bo Nix is using his legs well to extend these plays. There's a key to success here, and it's got to be getting the ball out quickly against this secondary that allows a lot of yards after the catch. Like, they're not a great tackling team either. So there's a path here. I really do think the Broncos are going to win this game.
Wow. It sounds like the Ravens aren't even they're kind of like a fraud of the Ravens. Because everything you're listing there is like the complete opposite what you think when you think of a Baltimore Raven defender. And that's pretty rough to see them fall that far. I'd love to see Bo Nix definitely take advantage of that, definitely on a couple of runs, because he got some wheels on him. We had another matchup where it was not anybody particularly on the field, but the two coaches. They've been coaching for a long time. Was it Harbaugh came up through, was it Philly with Ray Rhodes?
I think so, yeah. I think
special
that's right.
teams guy. And I know defensive backs coach. Then you have more Sean Payton. He's more on the offensive side. They both have Super Bowls. They're both definitely very creative with their play calls, especially since John Harbaugh, where nobody really thought they could work with Lamar Jackson when they drafted him. He went number 30, which is crazy. And he's able to get an MVP out of him. Nothing to the Super Bowl yet, but for him specifically, but he's definitely done a really great job with Lamar Jackson. And then we're seeing what Sean Payton's doing with Bo Nix right now and how they're starting to get comfortable with each other. So I just want to see the mix of see how they can compete against each other, coach mind versus the coach mind. And I don't know. I would say Sean Payton would have the advantage, but I don't know. He's been out for a couple years before he came back with us, so maybe that's where John Harbaugh closed the gap on him.
I think situational play calling is going to be something that you see big time with both of these coaches. And I think that we got to give a lot of credit to Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. Like, everybody remembers from years of lore of Lamar Jackson running the football all over the field. And that was Greg Roman really dictating that. They were a ground and pound, run a lot of heavy play action looks, zone reads and stuff like that. Think of like the Colin Kaepernick offense with Jim Harbaugh back in 2013 when the San Francisco 49ers went to the Super Bowl against the Jim Harbaugh-led Ravens. Everybody knows that game is a fantastic football game to watch. But the evolution of this Baltimore Ravens offense, and it's a big sign of growth from Lamar Jackson, specifically in the quick passing game. And that's something that I think that the Broncos are going to kind of struggle with against this Ravens team, because Zay Flowers and what they're doing, working him over the middle of the field on some crossing routes, on some slant routes. You got Rashad Bateman, who has the ability to run after the catch. Nelson Aguilar and his just reliable consistency that he's shown for year after year after year. Like, there's the passing game to me is really the scary part. And I thought going into this game, I thought that the Broncos would really have a solid matchup from the secondary with the way that Surtain and Riley Moss are playing, especially, and also with Jaquan McMillan as well. Mm-hmm. But the way that this Ravens scheme is opening up these receivers early in the down and Lamar seeing it and shooting it as soon as it happens has been a drastic turnaround. It's one of the reasons why Lamar Jackson is in the lead for the MVP race, at least from the last I remember. So the evolution of what the Ravens are doing offensively and just how creative they are up front makes it so much fun to watch, and it presents a big time challenge for this Broncos defense, dude.
Yeah, definitely. When you have to worry about his arms and his arm and his legs, making him a more complete player, especially when you have those quarterbacks that can scramble, but you can tell they're looking down the field the entire time as they're scrambling, all the way up until their line of scrimmage and they take off. Yeah. I love to see his develop throughout time. Hopefully, we can shut him down for this game. But yeah, he's really a fun player to watch. So we got Pro 16K says, I believe Lamar Jackson's taking these 2 days off is kind of looking past the Broncos. You would think that he would want to play, or that he'd want to be more focused against the best team, our defense in the league. Yeah, he would think he'd want to be more focused, but I don't know. I think it's more about his body. That's like his biggest tool, is his athleticism, and he's just trying to get as healthy as he can before. He's been with the same coaching staff for a little while, so he should be all right on that side of the ball. But I agree with him taking some extra days off to heal up. I would even, I don't know, I wouldn't sit him out or anything like that, but it just depends on the injury. What exactly was the injury? Was it like a hamstring or groin?
So they listed him with multiple injuries. It was a back injury and a knee injury, and there's really kind of I don't want to say evidence or anything like that. Like, it's not really any concrete proof or what's the reporting on it. Like, there's no really true diagnosis from what I've understood. Is a lot of it was just he had some soreness coming out of that Browns game where he was running around and getting hit a lot behind the line of scrimmage and taking some bigger shots down the field, even as a runner, which is something that he typically doesn't do running the football. He's really one of the guys that, yeah, he will lower his shoulder into a guy, but he tries to take care of his body pretty well down the field. So I think the big thing here, and in Pro 16, I think you have a point here because of the next game for the Ravens. The next game for the Ravens is Thursday Night Football against the Cincinnati Bengals. It's a divisional matchup. So they're going to come against one of the best defenses in the league, and then turn around on a short week to, I think it's even in Cincinnati, if I remember correctly. So not only have the short week, you have to travel and play a division rival. So it may not be looking past the Broncos, but it might be trying to preserve him going into the Broncos and then following that up with a short week. So it was a scheduled rest day on Wednesday. I know Thursday they sat him down as well. Today he got a full day in the practice and he's guaranteed to play. He said he's 100%. So there's a little bit of nuance to the whole thing with Lamar Jackson and his injury status coming into this Broncos game.
Yeah, and that's with his injury status, they're going to be leaning on another person that we definitely haven't overlooked, and Mr. Michael Ronquillo hasn't overlooked, is King Henry. The last time the Broncos running back King Henry under 100 yards was back in the 2021 NFL season in his days with the Tennessee Titans. That might have been the day that where Josie Jewell laid him out, huh?
I think so. So the Broncos have historically had a lot of success against Derrick Henry. He averages, I think, like 56 yards per game. If I could pull my Twitter account up on my computer, I would do it. But the one game that he did run for over 100 yards, I believe, was 2021. It was Week 1 against the Titans. That was a Ryan Tannehill game where Corey Davis was running crossing routes all day, and they ended up gashing the Broncos. I think Derrick Henry ran the ball like 31 times, and Melvin Gordon had a fumble late in the game, like in the fourth quarter, that set the Titans up for a game-winning field goal. Like, yeah, I swear to goodness, if I remember that game correctly, it's the one game that the Derrick Henry has actually ran for 100 yards against the Broncos, and the Broncos ended up losing 16-14 to the Tennessee Titans. I do know that for a fact.
Was that one of those games where he didn't really do too much for most of the game, but then kind of blew up in the fourth quarter?
Yep, and that was because it was there was a couple of missed tackles. I think it was Josie Jewell had a missed tackle, but it was because Melvin Gordon had a fumble at like the 35-yard line, which ended up, it was like late in the fourth quarter, that ended up setting up the game-winning field goal for the Titans, because the Broncos had the lead in the 4-minute offense too. So I remember specifically talking to Eric Trickle about this as the game was going on. He brought up a stat, and we've gone back and forth about it. At the time, Derrick Henry was like 22-4 in his career when he rushed for 100 yards. The Titans won 22 out of 26 games or something like that. And right now he's 36-9 in 45 career games. Derrick Henry, when he rushes for over 100 yards in a game, his team is 36-9. So this is a big key to this game right here.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if he was going to trail off once he got signed with the new team, because that's usually their second team as when those big time running backs start to fade. But he seems like he's the same Derrick Henry, if not a little more enthusiasm behind his and a little more energy behind his runs. And then Wayne was talking about the D line needs to get. Oh, sorry, I would say the D line needs to get good penetration to stop him, hit him in the backfield, get him before he starts going. Back again with that Josie Jewell play, he couldn't get a full head of steam, and Josie Jewell had the full head of steam, and he laid him out. So. Sorry, what were you going to say though?
Well, I think that the big thing with I don't want to call it a revitalization of Derrick Henry, but just the seeing a bigger effectiveness with what he's been able to do. I mean, we're going into Week 9 right now. He's damn near at 1,000 yards already running the football. I think that obviously pairing him up with Lamar Jackson and the running threat that he presents is a big boost to what Derrick Henry's effectiveness is. But that scheme up front right now, the way that they're utilizing some pulling guards, and then they'll run inside zone, and then they'll run stretch zone and have him bounce back off the backside, they're creating a lot of explosive plays right now with Derrick Henry, and it's just allowing him to continue to get downhill and be untouched until he's like 5 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. It's really fun to watch.
It reminds me of have you ever seen those plays of the rugby teams?
Yeah. Yep.
Some big giant Samoan lady will get the ball and just or a guy and just truck 7 people. Yep. Once they get those the head of steam, you're not stopping them. And if you are, you're gonna get punished in the process.
Yeah. No, it's really fun, dude. There's the way that they're utilizing just so much creativity, whether it's with Zay Flowers running jet sweeps or they run some reverse motion. Rashad Bateman got a reverse carry, I think, in there as well. But you've got the read option with Derrick Henry. They'll run a little pop pass to a tight end. They'll just get creative and move. There's a lot of window dressing. It seems like whenever this team lines up, they've got creative formations. They're creative out of those formations, run some really cool motions, and just open up holes that you really wouldn't even suspect would even be there. Todd Monken's doing I almost cursed there, a fantastic job coordinating this offense, man.
We got Cody W coming in. He says he wonders if Lamar Jackson is going to hesitate in running just because Denver has taken out a few quarterbacks in their time. I'm a believer if a quarterback runs like a running back, he's going to get hit like one. So yeah, I agree. This always brings up my question in my head of college when they used to run the option, and sometimes they don't run it now. As a defender, I think you just always hit the quarterback no matter what. I don't care if he pitches it or anything. You just punish the quarterback so he never runs that play again.
Yep.
He knows no matter if they get the touchdown or not, he's going to get laid out. So hopefully he is a little hesitant. We did take him out last time, I think. But unfortunately, their backup quarterback beat us. Was it Huntley? He was a really good backup for them, actually. He's over Miami.
He's in Miami right now.
Yeah, that was pretty.
Want to talk about a drop-off in quarterback play there. That Miami team without Tua Tagovailoa is horrible to watch. Good Lord.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of these teams where they have like 2 wins, and you're like, wait a minute, they're supposed to be 5-2 or whatever, and they're 2-5.
Yeah.
Them, like the Bengals, they're just none of them are living up to what they're supposed to do. Do you think Lamar's going to hesitate, though, on his running? Or the play calling, at least?
The play calling and the way that they're utilizing his legs in tune with his arms and trying to get him outside of the pocket in terms of what they're using with their passing game is really fun to watch. And when they do it, he's incredible. I think he's number 1 in EPA per play against the blitz right now. So there was a comment talking about we probably shouldn't blitz Lamar nearly as much as VJ is wanting to do, which is like I think 43% right now. He blitzes all the damn time. I think that you can actually get away with it. With the effectiveness of the pass rush that the Broncos have right now, you can get away with it. But in terms of Lamar as a runner, I don't know if he's ever going to hesitate because he has such an electric playmaking skill set that it's so hard for him to not want to utilize that. And while Todd Monken has reined him in from seeing his first read, pulling his eyes and running, he's actually sitting back in the pocket and then extending plays using his legs to push the ball down the field. That's a stark contrast to what we've seen from Lamar for a long time now. So I don't think he's necessarily going to shy away from running. And I don't think that the injuries that he has right now are more of him being beaten up because of him running. I think it's more of they held him out of practice to kind of save him for not, again, like I said, not just this game, but that Thursday night football game against the Bengals here next week.
Yeah, when you have those explosive quarterbacks like that, they usually are explosive and they have that one read capability, and then they take off. If you can get them to that next level where they can progress through their reads and they still are able to use their feet to scramble and then take them into the house every once in a while, that's when the quarterback becomes truly special and like a generational talent, and not just a fast quarterback.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, and again, Cody W., thank you again for that super chat. I really do appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Cody.
Really awesome of you. And I forgot to say that before I read it, and I apologize. But thank you so much.
No, we appreciate it, Cody. There's a comment I want to grab here really fast because we've got Michael Ronquillo, the Ronk, jumping in here. I'm sure he's got stars on the backside of this, but he's asking for some prayers, saying, "Please, can I have some prayers for my mom after she suffered a back to the head injury during working at high school for special education needs for high school students." So yes, prayers up to your mom, and thank you for joining us even in a trying time. Go be with your family right now. Like we always appreciate you for being here, Mike, but at the same time, take care of your family, and you and yours are always first priority for not only here at DVDD, but for you and your family as well. So again, thank you for that. But your prayers up to your mom, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear about that. Hopefully she has a speedy recovery. One thing that they taught us when I did everyone in the Army is if you do know you're going to fall back, when you're falling back and you can't stop it and you think you're going to hit your head, just to tuck your chin to your chest. It'll cut down the impact on your head by like 80 or 90%. And it cuts back from concussions or any skull fractures and stuff like that. But that's I'm sorry to hear about that, Michael. Hopefully it's just a day or two, a little dazedness, and she's back on her feet, ready to be her old self again.
Yeah, absolutely. Get back to those kids. Those special education kids need more focus and a lot more love than what they usually get. So that first off, kudos to your mom for dealing with a very difficult job. And then hopefully she comes back very, very quickly and very healthy to be able to handle those responsibilities. So prayers to your mom, buddy. All right. So there's a couple things here. You went through some matchups. I'm going to give you a couple different things that I was kind of noticing with this Cleveland Browns team, and specifically from in the Browns game against the Ravens, what the Broncos have done offensively over the last couple of weeks really translates very well to what this Ravens defense was struggling against the Cleveland Browns last week. And something I've been calling for every time I get an opportunity to talk is just more creativity in the running game. And you really saw it with like the New York Jets, where they were starting to pull offensive tackles, pull guards, just identifying those landmarks for Javonte Williams and allowing him to blow open holes and just be like forward head of steam moving downhill.
Mm-hmm.
It worked really well for the Browns against this Ravens team, dude. What do you think? Like, how can this Broncos team be more creative in what they're doing up front to battle against the number one run defense in the NFL this season?
Yeah, they definitely have to get Javonte back involved. He had that big game, and then only to fall off this last game. They didn't really have too much rushing yards. I did see them use a lot of creative motions with their receivers to kind of give the defense a little more to think about. Maybe something like that maybe it runs off of those just to get people leaning in one direction while you're coming the other way. But yeah, I don't know with Javonte. I think it's only a matter of time. He's got to keep pounding him at the middle, and hopefully that over time you just wear down that front of the Ravens to where he can break a couple of 15 and 16 yards runs. And then utilize Jaleel in some open space. Because we all saw what he did in his first touchdown. He was dead in the water. Like I said, there was no way he was scoring, and he found a way to score. I don't know how he did it. So if you can get him into space, I think that's something you got to really start involving more in the game plan moving forward, just because he is that special. And I know he can get tackled sometimes in that situation, but a lot of situations, like that's the one defender you have to get past, and after then there's nobody after that. And he's a perfect player to get past that initial defender.
Well, I think a big thing here is utilizing the burst of Jaleel out in open space, and I'm really impressed with what he's been able to do running between the tackles here over the last couple of weeks, where they're running a lot of inside zone, and I think that he sees it a lot better than Javonte does, which is why it's fun to watch with what Sean Payton is doing with his running game, even though it's kind of telegraphing what they're doing a little bit. Because if it's Javonte, they're running duo or they're running some counter trap or some pulling game, maybe some outside toss where he can just kind of put his nose down and sneak up for a couple of yards. But with Jaleel, they're running inside zone trap pull, and they're getting him to the boundary a lot easier and using misdirection. Like it's fun to see how this offense is really kind of evolving for the Broncos right now. And I'm curious to see what they're going to do against this Ravens team, because again, like, what they've had success with over the last couple of weeks is something that translates directly to this Cleveland Browns game from last week, where you've got the counter trap, you run some backside zone with a shifty guy, and then you're throwing with timing and precision over the middle of the field on dig and crossing routes. Like I'm telling you guys, I'm really, really optimistic. I know our Mile High Huddle roundtable just went up a little while ago, so check that out at milehighhuddle.com. I think the Broncos are going to win this game. I do think they're going to win.
Yeah, that's I know I had talked about it last week. I think they're going to split this the Ravens and the Chiefs. I might be wrong on how I picked this first one, whatever, but I still feel 100% they're going to split these games, and they're going to get one of these ones to prove that they're right up there with these guys. They essentially just can't get blown out. But yeah, I can see them definitely giving the Ravens a run for their money, especially if they allow us to hang in there late. Like if the second half and we're still tight in there, we're within 3 to 7 points. I think it's kind of bad for the Ravens, because we definitely are a momentum kind of team. Once we go on momentum, we just keep going and keep going and keep going. And we're a team you had to put away early. Otherwise, yeah, we can really make you pay. So we'll see. It's going to be exciting.
Well, and I think the big thing here is, even if you don't put this Broncos team away early, because the offensive struggles are going to start right away. It's been happening every single game outside of the Raiders game. Yeah, I mean, you had the quick turnover there, fall down quickly. But then once the offense really got going in the second quarter, against the Raiders, like you knew that there was nothing that Raiders defense was going to do to stop this Broncos offense. And against you got the Saints where they just opened up and started running right down the field, get the quick field goal, and then there was nothing that they could do for the rest of that game. The Panthers game, obviously, you're talking about bad defenses here, but I think that even Carolina's pass defense is better than what the Baltimore Ravens defense has shown right now. Like quite honestly, there's too many holes, and I think that so long as the offensive line can protect well, I mean, you got Odafe Owe, Yannick Ngakoue. There's some pass rushers on this Ravens defensive line. But again, this Broncos offensive line is giving Bo time, and if he has that time to really pick and choose what he's going to do over the middle of the field, this could be one of those games where you really see this passing game take that next step forward and see Bo Nix really take a big step as a rookie quarterback and proving the way that he can be a franchise quarterback and proving that this team could be a legitimate playoff contender, which is what we're talking about tonight. So I'm here for it. Yeah. I'm here to see crazy. Exactly. So my question is, if the Broncos lose this week and next week, what do you want to see out of these next two games to prove to you that they can actually be a legitimate playoff contender?
That they don't give up. If they fall behind, they keep grinding. They're trying to force turnovers. The pass rush is still there. The defense doesn't get pissed off at the offense. That's like the one big thing I think can get in their way is if the offense is, because they have their spurts, they have their moments where they're real slow. If they can be somewhat consistent, at least giving them getting one or two first downs consistently to where they're flipping the field position, it keeps the defenders in a positive mindset and an attacking mindset, and that's like the best thing for this team. But if they, that's the one thing I just don't want them to struggle a lot, fall behind by big, and then they start arguing and fighting with each other. I think that's the one thing that's the scariest thing about this team, because I've seen it happen with so many teams where the defense is just amazing and the offense is not right there with them, and the defense gets pretty heated because of it.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
Sorry. Then we got Gary Palmer coming in here. Thank you so much for the 1999 super chat. We really appreciate it. That's awesome. That's our high super chat of the day. I think that's my high super chat of all time so far. Hi, Lance and Kenneth. Hammer, dude. Yeah, that's awesome. Hi, Lance and Kenneth. Excited to see if we are up for the moment. I think we are. Go Broncos. Yeah, I think we are. I think our defense, like I said, our defense is consistent. Our defense plays hard every single down. Our quarterback is never satisfied. He's always wanting to get better. He's our coach is constantly pushing him. Our quarterback can take it. He's not going to fold and get all sad and sit all by himself. And if he is, he's going to get up and dust himself off and get one of those tablets and go over the plays again. But I'm excited. I think they're ready. Even if they lose this game, I think they're going to show that they're not to be messed with, and the team that wins is going to feel like they lost the game almost, like body-wise. It's going to be a physical matchup.
I think right now we kind of have to change our expectations for this team. And a lot of it predicates on what happens on Sunday and even next Sunday against the Chiefs. But like, did anyone expect this team? Vegas didn't even expect this team to win 5 games all season. I mean, the over/under was 5.5. Mm-hmm. Like, where they're at right now, they stole a game against the Jets. They stole a game. I guess not. Did they really steal a game against the Jets? Like that you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, it was like stolen and given away at the same time.
Well,
like, I mean, steal this. Like, oh, just take it.
Well, I mean, the terrible conditions there, but the Jets did do pretty much everything they could do to give that game away. I mean, but something that I've noticed is when the offense is actually clicking and doing things the right way, and Bo is playing confidently, which you're seeing a lot of that here recently. They're not winning games like close games. They're flat out dominating people. Mm-hmm. They dominated the Ravens. They dominated the Buccaneers. They dominated the Saints. They dominated the Raiders. They dominated the Panthers. And we're not talking like just close, eke it out wins. Yeah, the Jets game was a close eke it out win, but we can all excuse Hurricane Helene for that.
Yeah.
This team is, quite honestly, they're on the precipice of doing something pretty remarkable because they're changing the tide. I talk about this a lot. The pendulum of winning. That, like, you've got the lose big, lose small, win big. Like, the Broncos are kind of hovering around that win big, win small area right now, and I think the defense really helps them out. But the growth of the offense makes it more exciting to see, and it makes it more fun to watch. Like, this team, I think we need to change our expectation a little bit as the season keeps progressing, dude. What do you think?
I think initially I had a little bit of an unrealistic Bronco optimistic. I was like right? Looking. Oh, actually, it was more off of the preseason. I think I put too much stock in the preseason and how he played. So I did initially say the 10-win season, and then when they went 0-2, like the way they were playing, I was like, I don't know how they could beat anybody. Like, their offense is terrible, whatever. And like, but then they started winning, and it started to get back to my original prediction. But I almost didn't. I still kind of don't know. I'd know more after these next 2 games, I guess. But it's really hard to see if to predict if this offense can put up points with the bigger teams and hang in there. But yeah, I don't know. 10 wins is a realistic goal now, and that's amazing.
I firmly agree with you, dude. Like, honestly, you when you look, like, these next 2 games are obviously paramount, and it's really going to change the tenor around Broncos country in general. But when you look at the rest of the season, I mean, you got the Falcons, who, what exactly are they? Are they a good team that is actually good? Are they a bad team that plays good sometimes? Are they a bad team that can't be good, or a good team that sometimes, like, what exactly is this Falcons team right now? You got them coming out of the Chiefs game at home. Mm-hmm. Then you get the Browns, you get the Colts, you get a game against the Chargers, and another one against the Raiders as well. Another game against Kansas City at the tail end of the season. Cincinnati, like, what exactly is that team as well? They're kind of like the Falcons. Like,
yeah,
exactly. Like how do you project exactly what the Broncos are going to be going up against? Because you should have probably beat the Chargers the first time, if not for a couple of ugly turnovers and a couple of quick touchdown drives from the Chargers. You already destroyed the Raiders one time. Like, that should be a couple of wins. Then the Browns, yeah, sure, they beat the Ravens, but that team is kind of in shambles right now. The Colts, they just turned to Joe Flacco. Like, this schedule sets up pretty well, quite honestly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, what's up with the Colts, man? Richardson's supposed to be the truth, or they put him in there too early, apparently. They maybe should have sat him for a season.
I think that a big part there is that, like, it's the what's the fickle is probably the best way to describe the NFL and young quarterbacks and head coaching searches and stuff like that. Like, there's no patience. It has to be immediate results right now. And you're not getting it with Anthony Richardson, but you knew that coming in. Like, why would you throw him out there to the Wolves to let him try to develop and then pull the plug so quickly? I mean, I get he pulled himself out of the game, but come on, man. Like, let the guy grow a little bit.
Yeah, what do we got here? We got Cody W coming back. If Allen wants to be an all-pro, this game's going to help. Definitely. This will definitely put him on the map nationally. We all know Zach Allen. A lot of the sports pundits all know Zach Allen. But this is where the casual fan might get to know Zach Allen, where he might have one of those J.J. Watt, like 2.5 sack games. And the big one where, they sack him and they just go to the crowd or whatever. Yep. I love that. Like Derrick Wolf used to do, kind of.
Yep.
Oh, that was so awesome. I used to get me so hyped.
And actually, it's kind of funny because Zach Allen, when you watch him, he kind of reminds me of J.J. Watt, like the big arm brace down on the left arm, like the quick swim over, the spin move and stuff that he has. Like, this matchup's actually pretty fun if you think about it, because I mean, you look, it's Daniel Fa'alele is who the right guard is, who Zach Allen's going to go up against. Daniel Fa'alele is 6'8", 385 pounds. He's a behemoth of a dude, and he can't move. Zach Allen's going to have a chance.
We were looking at him in the draft.
Yeah, that was a really fun conversation too. But like, especially at tackle. They moved him inside. They got Roger Rosengarten starting at the right tackle. Denver native, by the way. I think he went to Valor Christian, was coached by Tyler Columbus too. He's a Denver kid. Yeah. He's starting at right tackle. He's been playing pretty well. But I think that with Zach Allen and the quick first step that he had, like he can take advantage of Daniel Faalele. Like this could be a big game for him.
Yeah, him and Quinn Miners seem like they just grew up together.
I know, right?
They all just like they drove pickup trucks and wore overalls with a piece of hay hanging out of their mouth. Yeah, those guys are awesome. They're just amazing, hardworking players. I love those dudes.
I can hear dueling banjos in the background. Ding, 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 ding.
Like 26 beers in, just in the back of their pickup.
But you got to do something to get a belly that big. Come on, Quinn.
Yeah,
we know what you're all about. Let's go. So is Quinn Miners like the equivalent of what David Bakhtiari is for the Packers offensive line, like that big burly, just goofy son of a gun that you can see sitting courtside at a Nuggets game chugging beers while Bo Nix is on the other side with his girlfriend just sipping on it. Like I could see that scenario playing out one of these days.
Or Joe Thomas, who's getting drafted like 3rd overall, but he's decides to go fishing instead.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
It's just like, whoa. You're going to be like national TV. He's like, nah, man, I already have a fishing trip planned.
I'm going to go knock down trees in Canada. Leave me alone.
Well, one big thing that Sean Payton had a huge problem with is our fumbles. Yeah. Apparently he lost his mind after that game, whatever. I don't know if he lost his mind, but he was very, very upset. So what did you have? In that game, it was Humphrey and Sutton both fumbled. I think they both lost their fumble too. Yep. And then on the rest of the team, I mean, Javante's got 2 fumbles this year. Estime's got 2 fumbles. He lost one of them. McLaughlin's got – how do you say McLaughlin? I always put a G in there for some reason.
I was going to say it's McLaughlin, I think.
Like McLaughlin's got a fumble. I fumbled his name. Sorry. And then especially in this last game, the 2 fumbles we had, that was 14 points.
It was.
They turned into 14 points. And that's something you can't do with a big-time team, because that 14 points will put you in that hole that we're trying to get out of or stay away from. But, yeah, I don't know what they can do to work on that.
Well, I mean, you had it with Audric Estime last week or a couple weeks ago where he fumbled. Was that against the Saints or was it the Raiders game? I can't remember. He had that second fumble. Javonte Williams gave him a football and said, just hold this and carry it around with you everywhere. Like that's the age old expression, essentially. Like if you have fumbling issues, what you do is you just carry around a football and you tell everyone that you're walking around, and everybody knows, if I'm walking around holding onto a football, try to punch it out of my arm. So you've got to focus on being tight, like high and tight, utilizing proper forms. So like that's a big thing. I think there's some concentration issues too. Like honestly, like I don't want to say that with Lil Jordan Humphrey, because it was actually kind of funny. When you watch that game back, they ran pretty much the exact same play where Lil Jordan Humphrey comes across on a slant. This was the first drive where he actually fumbled, and Shy Tuttle, the Panthers defensive lineman, comes running down and he throws the haymaker and punches the football out. They ran a similar play later in the game where Lil Jordan Humphrey caught a slant and was turning to run upfield, got kind of spun around, and he almost was like, you could see his eyes bug out of his helmet. He's like, holy crap, here comes Shy Tuttle again. And he tucked up and like rolled himself over so he didn't fumble again. He's learning from that, like in the game. I think Cortland Sutton trying to make a play kind of hurt that as well. But the big thing is understanding ball security is job security. Like Brock Osweiler said that a long time ago. You have to be able to hold on to the football, and especially against a team like this Ravens team where they're explosive offensively. They can turn those turnovers into a 14-point swing just that fast. I mean, they are electric offensively. So ball security has to be paramount.
The only time I ever think it's kind of like I don't get as mad, I guess, is if they're going for the first down or a touchdown. But even then, I guess, I don't know. It's such a big momentum swinger, especially if you're on your own side of the field. And then they got a short field after that. And it's almost a guaranteed 3 points minimum. But yeah, the ball security, because Javonte, he fumbled it too. I was telling Eric about this. There's a movie called The Program. It's a college football movie, and one guy fumbles all the time, and he does that. They make him hold the ball.
Yep.
And he's going to class. He's holding the ball. Somebody knocks it out, and it turns into mayhem. Like people jumping over desks trying to get to this football. But it's pretty funny. Oh shoot!
Uh-oh.
We got Mr. Bossman's in here.
I was going to say Papa Chad jumps in here.
Should Denver stand down at the trade deadline? Man, I don't know. It's really hard. It's really hard to, because there's a lot of moves that you don't think are going to be good moves that turn out to be that final piece that you need. And then there's other ones that, like a Vernon Davis we got one year.
Yep.
He played all right, but he wasn't as big impact as we thought he was going to be. We thought that was the end of Owen Daniels, and Owen Daniels continued to be our premier tight end at the time, I think.
Yeah, I think the big thing with Vernon Davis in that season was they knew that he could actually line up and be a blocker. I mean, after Mike Singletary called him out in San Francisco about not putting out the effort that was necessary, saying, can't win with him, can't do it. Like everybody remembers that speech, right? Like,
yeah.
Vernon Davis, like that was a quality trade deadline acquisition because he added something that Owen Daniels wasn't necessarily capable of being. I mean, he was fine. It's like compare him to Adam Troutman right now, but Vernon Davis, when he came in, he had the big block on the linebacker against the Patriots that sprang C.J. Anderson for the overtime touchdown run. Like Vernon Davis was key for what they needed him to be. Was he the electric receiver that we all thought he was going to be? No, but there's a way this team can improve. I think they should be aggressive at the trade deadline this year.
Who are some people that you would want them to target?
Specifically David Njoku for that same exact reason. Like two reasons, actually. David Njoku is incredible as a receiver. He's a very athletic, very sure-handed, a guy that can go up and make contested catches if you need him to. He can work the middle of the field. Like this dude's fantastic. He's going to add a dimension to the offense that the Broncos don't have at the tight end position right now. But then also he's going to add upfront blocking. Like is he Rob Gronkowski? No, he's not. Is he George Kittle? No, he's not. But I mean, he can be a TJ Hawkinson. He can be a Sam Laporta. He can be a guy that you can go out there and put at the point of attack on running plays and actually hold his own and move guys off their spots. Like David Njoku is primo target number one, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, we have that the other guy, backup tight end over in the Patriots, Hooper.
Yeah, Austin Hooper. That's another one.
I remember his days in Cleveland and then maybe Atlanta.
Yep,
he had a couple of decent seasons. Eric talked about how he had gotten better at blocking as well. And that would be like something where we can a very low draft pick. What would it take to get into David Njoku?
Oh man, you're probably buying high there because the Browns are going to eat like $28 million in dead money, so you're going to have to send an elevated draft pick. But I think that the counter argument to that point is, so let's say that you have to send a third round pick for David Njoku, which is probably enough to get it done. Maybe you have to send a pick in 2026 as well. But what are you going to get in the third round that's better than a 29-year-old David Njoku in the third round? Like,
yeah, the only thing difference is just the money wise.
And that's,
I don't know any tight ends right now coming out of college that I'm really high on. I mean, Brock Bowers is the only one that I liked. And I liked him after his freshman year. That was I just cuss. That was so crazy though. But he was just dominating as a freshman. And I was like, this guy is gonna go in the first round. And they're like, he's a freshman. I'm like, I thought he was like a junior or something.
Yeah. No, Tyler Warren from Penn State is a dude that I really like. He's big. He's your prototypical 6'7", 260 kind of a player that's athletic as all hell and a great pass catcher. They utilize him in a lot of different ways at Penn State too. Like that's a guy I really like. Colson Loveland from Michigan is another dude that's been pretty highly regarded. I haven't got a chance to watch him a lot, but very versatile from what I understand. Good blocker as well. So you could find a tight end for sure. But I think that if you want a proven guy that's been in the NFL think about this. if I remember correctly, he was drafted the same year as Garrett Bowles was. I think that was a 2017 NFL draft. He was drafted at 20 years old. So he's 27, 28 years old. Like, he's still young enough where you can get a handful of quality years out of the guy and still be able to help him accentuate Bo Nix and give him that reliable tight end over the middle of the field.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Well, we were talking about Lamar Jackson dealing with some injuries. That brings up we got the injury report. So for Denver, it looked like on the injury report was Zach Allen. It was mostly just rest. He was limited on Wednesday, full practice on Thursday. Alex Palczewski, also full practice on Wednesday and Thursday. Surtain's full practice. Darian Turner-Yell was limited on Wednesday but full on Thursday. Michael Burton and was limited on both days. Mike McGlinchey did not play on Wednesday, did not practice. He was limited on Thursday. Hopefully he can play in this next game if he can. I feel like we got the players to hold it over until he can get back. And PJ Locke did not practice on both days. He's dealing with a thumb injury. For the Ravens, so you got Keaton Mitchell. He's full participant on Wednesday and Thursday. I've heard some stuff about him, the running back. I heard he's pretty explosive and exciting to watch. He's been hurt all year, though.
Mm-hmm.
He's a young guy. Nate Wiggins, he had a shoulder injury. He was limited on Wednesday, full on Thursday.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to play from the sound of it.
Mm-hmm. We got Rasheen Ali. Didn't practice on Wednesday, but he was limited on Thursday. Limited on both days for Marlon Humphrey. And we all know Marlon Humphrey, especially he knows Javonte Williams because he gave him a ride to school on his back. But he drug him like 35 yards. Yes. that was the Javonte we love. Lamar Jackson didn't participate in practice on both days. So, and it is listed as a back and knee. So we'll see. Hopefully, I like when their best players play. I like to beat teams at their best. So some people like when their star player is out for your game. I actually kind of go the other way.
I'm with you on that, honestly, because like, especially with this team right now, especially with the Broncos, like you want to win no matter what. Like, that's plain and simple, just the point of this operation. Herman Edwards said it best. You play to win the game, fellas. Like quite honestly, you want to beat the Ravens with Lamar at full strength if you possibly can. If he's out, then sure, you take the win no matter what. But when you look at this team right now, they're 5-3. They're 0-3 against potential playoff teams. The Saints, they lost to the Steelers. They lost to the Chargers. The four out of the 5 games that they've won have been against teams that are at the bottom of their divisions. The only game that they won that is against a team that's not at the bottom of their division is the New Orleans Saints game, but they beat the Panthers, who's at the bottom of that division. So they're beating up on bad teams, which proves to you the point that this team is not a bad team. But you need to see them go out there against a team like this Ravens team, who is currently below them in seeding for the playoffs right now, but a team that everyone wants to pick for a Super Bowl contender. If they can go into Baltimore and win that game, it changes the narrative of what this Broncos team has been able to do thus far this season. So, like, you want to beat them not with Josh Johnson, who's the backup quarterback there. You want to beat them with Lamar Jackson to say, hey, we're here. We're ready to compete with the best of the best at the NFL level.
Definitely. Remember Josh Johnson? He was on our squad for a little while.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. He's been on about 25 different squads.
Yeah, he's like there's the guy in the NBA who's been on like a bunch of different teams like that, like 15 teams. And he actually won a championship with the Nuggets.
Was that Isaiah Smith or
Ish Smith?
Ish Smith, yep.
Yeah. It was funny too. I heard a story about another player coming up, and Ish Smith was on the team, and they were like, "Watch out for Ish Smith. He's gonna get you with that left hand." And they're like, "This guy's a career bench warmer." And Ish Smith roasted that guy over and over, and that guy now is a premier all-star.
So I watched I watched Ish Smith playing back with Al Farouk Amino and my guy James Johnson. I actually know James Johnson personally. Do you know who James Johnson is?
Is he kind of a scary kind of like power forward kind of guy?
Yeah,
He's trying to
big long dreads. He actually he grew up playing basketball in Cheyenne, Wyoming, just north of Denver. My dad and his head coach were actually really good friends. The stories about him being able to kick a basketball out of the rim are 100% accurate. I watched it with my own two eyes. One of the most athletic people I've ever seen in my entire life. He's just crazy insane. But he ended up going to Wake Forest with Al Farouk Aminu and Ish Smith, and they ended up beating Duke. They were the number 1 team in the country for like 4 weeks.
Wow.
Ish Smith has a soft spot in my heart for that, because the Wyoming guy, actually made it big, and kind of like Brandon Nemo for the Mets.
That's really cool.
Yep. A couple of Wyoming guys have actually made it to the big time. And James Johnson, I think he was a six man of the year a couple different times too. Not to make this chat about basketball, but.
So the game last night, did you catch any of the game last night? Did you catch the Garrett Wilson touchdown catch?
So guys, y'all know I've got a new job, and just to be able to be on a podcast is fun. But and I appreciate you for having me, dude. But I don't get to watch a lot here anymore.
Okay.
So
it definitely went viral.
I saw the catch. I did see the catch. The whole 2 feet down, shin down, like he caught the ball twice. He caught the ball one-handed. It was like the jump man. He looked like the Michael Jordan logo.
Yeah.
Caught that ball, landed on 1 foot, and then that same foot tapped down again as he's going to the ground. His shin touched. They actually called it a touchdown. But you had a similar catch with George Pickens on Monday Night Football where they called him out of bounds, and it wasn't I don't. What is a catch?
Yeah, it's not universal. It's like up to the referee. And Roy says, "I hope you're liking your job."
I love the job. I hate the fact that I don't have a whole lot of time to have fun and talk football and just have a conversation with everybody. I work 12 to 14-hour days now, Tuesday through Saturday. So wow. I don't even get to watch a lot of college football. And when I do come home, it's family time. So I get to watch NFL football on Sundays, do a little bit of tape work on Monday, and have a little bit of fun to myself. Me and my 5-year-old, we hang out for a little bit. But the job's going good, and I wish it was a little bit less in terms of the amount of what I have to do.
Yeah. Work takes up so much of our life. It's insane how much if you add it up.
Well, that's why I like doing this. Like it's so much fun to just get away from the normal work home life. Let's have some fun and shoot the crap and enjoy talking Denver Broncos football. And without you guys being here, we couldn't do it. Like this show doesn't exist without the people that come here to watch it. So thank you all.
And then we got the Hail Mary touchdown. Did you watch that or did you see the highlights at all? I don't know if you did. Jaden Daniels throws Hail Mary. Yeah. The guy runs to the crowd and taunts the crowd.
Yeah, Tyreek Stevenson. Yep.
Bye, you're all going home. And then he tips it to the guy who scores the touchdown.
Did you get a chance to listen to the radio calls? They had so I listen to sports talk radio in Denver every day. Altitude Sports Radio and KOA. I listen to those guys all the time. They had the Washington Commanders call, and then they had the Bears call right after that, and then they played the Spanish call. It was the Washington Commanders Spanish feed. Dude, the Spanish feed. Why can we not get this all the time? I want that in American sports, like all of the time. I want a touchdown! A touchdown! It was so much fun to listen to those guys. Good Lord.
The Japanese feed's pretty good too.
I haven't heard a Japanese feed.
Yeah, they get pretty crazy. Are you happy? Or what do you think about these 11 a.m. games?
What do you mean?
11 a.m. instead of 2 o'clock games.
Oh, for the Broncos?
Yeah. I kind of like them. You get your whole day after that.
I like them. They're fun because it kind of breaks up the dichotomy. It breaks up I want to say dichotomy, but that's not the strict aspect of you have the morning, the watching games, and you have to sit down in the afternoon, and you have to be focused on watching the Broncos game. And then you get to the night game where it's like, all right, time to make some dinner and stuff like that. You get the early morning game, then you have the rest of the afternoon to go mess around and have some fun and let's say I want to fire up the smoker and throw some ribs down. Like I can do that if I want to. Like the problem with the 11 a.m. games for the Broncos is they're not good on the East Coast. They haven't been good perennially for 25 years. So that's something I want this team to really watch out for. And I got to give credit to Sean Payton for something that he's done. He's already kind of dialed back their schedule, like shifted the schedule an hour back, because this is something that I never really would have thought like as a factor. The time changes on Saturday. So you lose an extra hour. So not only do you lose 2 hours going to the East Coast, you lose another hour because of the time change. So Sean Payton throughout the week has already dialed back. They're like, okay, we're starting our meetings an hour earlier because we have to deal with that time change. So that's kudos to Sean Payton for thinking outside the box and being a damn good head coach for that.
Yeah, wow. Well, it looks like man, we're already at the end of our show. We're at 7 o'clock right now. I wonder if you
this last 5 minutes has been so fun. I hope you know this last 5 minutes has been way too fun.
Well, that's why my last questions are the end of the show questions, and I had some stuff on there. Like one of them was they had nothing with football. It was if you were watching that TV show, The Penguin.
I have not. No,
it's so good. It's you've seen Robert Pattinson's Batman, right? The last one. It picks up off of that.
Okay.
It picks up from there. It's the same characters and everything, whatever, and it's all about the Penguin. It's really, really good. It's like on the 6th episode right now.
So to tell you the truth, I think the last superhero movie that I've seen was Dark Knight 2.
Yet the one with Christian Bale, correct? Right?
Yep. Yeah. The Christian Bale movies. I don't do movies and stuff like that. Like I watch sports or hang out and watch TV shows on reruns with my wife. But we've gone through. We did The Good Place, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and
Ted Lasso.
I haven't seen Ted Lasso yet.
You have to see Ted Lasso.
I want to see Ted Lasso so bad, but so we spoiler alert. We don't act. I guess don't ban me from everything here. YouTube, like we stream everything. Everything we watch is on stream. DVDs we buy. We have the shut up. I know you do too. No, like so we have the box set of like That 70s Show, The Middle, all of the Game of Thrones. Like we have all the box sets.
Okay,
so that's like we watch DVDs and stuff. Unless I'm watching football, I've been watching the Avs a little bit, the Nuggets as well. So. I watch sports after everybody goes to bed until about 8:30 or so. Then I have to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, so I don't really get a chance to do fun stuff anymore, which sucks.
Yeah, I work graveyards. That's when I do my writing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, well, thank you. Thanks everyone for coming in today. Had a great talk, and we're excited to see the Ravens just I don't know, overlook us too as well. Hopefully we can put a beating on them. I just want to see a really physical game because that's what games. Those are the kind of games you play in the playoffs. It's not about fancy stuff. It's about defense. It's about the running game. It's about turnovers. So yeah, I'm excited. And remember, everybody set your alarm clocks and don't be like me. That's happened to me a couple of times where I've overslept the game and woke up in the second quarter. So if Lance, if you want to sign us out.
Yeah, can do. First off, say thank you to everybody who joined us tonight. A lot of people jumped in as we're closing out 118 sets of eyes, 13 likes and hearts on Facebook as well. Cody W, Gary Palmer, Cody W again, and of course the boss man Chad jumping in with some major support. I know we had a couple of people over on Facebook that dropped some stars as well. I know Michael Ronquillo is a big one over there. So if we did miss you guys, we didn't have anybody to really show us that we had stars. So we do apologize for that. But thank you all for joining us here on a wonderful Friday evening for Dove Valley Deep Divers. You guys can follow us on Twitter by finding me at Lance_S_MHH and for Kenny Booker here at Kenneth_MHH. And guys, while you're at it, please make sure you follow at Mile High Huddle. That is the mother account where you guys find breaking news and analysis. You got film breakdowns, opinion articles, anything for the Denver Broncos. You are going to find that at Mile High Huddle. And Facebook users, please go to facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. Get in the conversation. We're all a part of that group as well. So drop your opinions, drop your knowledge. just keep the conversation going, because we love talking Broncos football with you guys, whether it's here on a Friday night, whether every single day, Sunday through Saturday, 6 p.m. here at the Mile High Huddle Podcast Network. This is what we do, talk Denver Broncos football, and we want you guys to be involved. Guys, if you're financially able to do so, please head on over to mhhmerch.com. Get yourself a hat. You got the hoodie here. I'm wearing the Mile High Huddle hoodie. This is a state of being hoodie. This thing's been around for a long time. There's anything to suit your fancy, whether it's for the guys, something for the gals, a onesie for your baby, something for your dog, coffee cups for in the morning. Get it at mhhmerch.com. And if you guys are not financially able to support the show with super chats and stars, even with the merch tent, we definitely understand, guys. But there's 3 things that everybody should be doing at this particular point. We've been going, DVDD's been going for almost 6 years now. You should guys subscribe to Mile High Huddle across all social media platforms. Click that like button on every article and video you guys see. And if you love it, please share it and get it out in front of as many Denver Broncos fans as possible, because without your guys' continued and appreciated support, we could not do what we do best, which is cover your Denver Broncos and keep you guys entertained in your early evening activities. So with that, KB, I always ask this of Eric. I always ask this of every time that I get an opportunity to join on a show. Any last words? Do anything else on the top of your mind?
Oh, we forgot to get final scores.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I have mine is going to be, I am squeaking it out and then with a field goal, 27-24 Broncos.
So I have it 24-23 with a last-minute Will Lutz field goal as well. So, again, guys, make sure you go over to milehighhuddle.com. Check out the Mile High Huddle Roundtable, where you got the entire staff is on board, giving our picks for every single week. It's a fun article to read, just giving everybody else's opinions on what they think is going to happen for this Broncos game. So please go check that out. Again, milehighhuddle.com is where you're going to find that. And for Kenneth Booker, I am Lance Sanderson saying good night to everybody here in Broncos country. You all stay safe and take care. Have a great rest of your weekend. And as always, go Broncos.